Look at this city: wide roads, towering apartment blocks, massive stadiums, bright lights glowing in the dark.
The lights grow brighter in Pyongyang while provincial regions become darker.
This is Pyongyang, the capital of North Korea. Now, zoom out, and almost the entire country disappears into darkness. For decades, North Korea has been one of the most isolated and heavily sanctioned countries on Earth. Its economy is restricted. Its internet is controlled.
Press is reporting a massive internet outage at this hour in North Korea.
Its borders are tightly monitored, and much of the world treats it like a nation cut off from modern society. Yet, somehow, the regime still survives. The military continues expanding, missiles tests continue launching, and Kim Jong-un remains firmly in power. So the question is, how does North Korea actually make money? To understand modern North Korea, you first have to understand what happened in the 1990s, because many people don't realize this. North Korea wasn't always economically broken. In the 1960s and early 1970s, North Korea's economy was actually performing better than South Korea's in several areas. The country had Soviet backing, industrial growth, and a functioning centralized economy. But then, in 1991, the Soviet Union collapsed. Almost overnight, North Korea lost its largest economic supporter. Fuel shipments stopped, factories slowed down, electricity shortages spread, agriculture collapsed. Then came famine. Between the mid-1990s and early 2000s, hundreds of thousands, possibly more, died during a devastating food crisis known inside North Korea as the Arduous March. The government could no longer fully support the population, so ordinary people began creating their own survival system. And without intending to, they slowly built an underground market economy. These informal markets are known as jangmadang. At first, many were technically illegal, but authorities gradually tolerated them because they helped prevent even greater instability. Today, these markets exist across much of the country. People trade food, clothing, medicine, household goods, and imported products from China. According to defectors and researchers, foreign media also quietly enters the country through smuggled USB drives and devices, South Korean dramas, Western movies, outside information, all circulating beneath one of the most tightly controlled systems in the world. And while this informal economy may not generate massive national wealth, it does something extremely important. It helps ordinary people survive. In many ways, North Korea's unofficial economy became a pressure release valve for the entire system. But the biggest reason North Korea still functions can be summarized in one word: China. For years, China has remained North Korea's largest trading partner by far. Food, fuel, machinery, consumer goods, much of it flows across the border between the two countries. So why does China continue supporting North Korea despite international pressure? Because for China, North Korea serves as a strategic buffer state. If the North Korean government collapsed, millions of refugees could cross the border, regional instability would increase, and US allied influence could move closer to China's border. So while China does follow some sanctions, many analysts believe Beijing also wants North Korea stable enough to survive, not necessarily to prosper, but not to collapse either. But trade and informal markets are only part of the story. Over the last decade, North Korea has increasingly been linked to cyber operations and digital financial crime. Multiple international investigations, including reports connected to the United Nations and cybersecurity firms, have accused North Korean-linked hacking groups of targeting banks, crypto exchanges, and digital infrastructure worldwide. One of the most well-known alleged groups is called Lazarus Group. According to cybersecurity analysts, these operations have reportedly generated billions of dollars through cyber theft and cryptocurrency-related attacks. Investigators believe some of this money may help fund weapons programs, military research, and sanctions evasion networks. And cyber operations are difficult to stop. Unlike traditional industries, hacking requires skilled people, computers, internet infrastructure, and secrecy, not massive factories or shipping fleets. For a heavily sanctioned country, that makes cyber warfare extremely valuable. Then came the war in Ukraine. As Russia faced growing sanctions and ammunition shortages, international observers began reporting increasing military cooperation between Russia and North Korea. Reports suggested shipments of artillery shells, missiles, and military supplies. In return, analysts believe North Korea may have received fuel, food support, technological assistance, and stronger diplomatic backing. For North Korea, global instability created new opportunities. The more divided the world becomes, the easier it becomes for isolated states to find strategic partners. So, how does North Korea make money? Not through a normal open economy, and not through traditional global trade alone. It survives through a combination of informal markets, Chinese economic support, military relationships, cyber operations, strict internal control, and strategic geopolitical positioning. But perhaps the most important factor is this: the regime has learned how to survive under pressure. For decades, analysts have predicted collapse. And for decades, the system has adapted instead. North Korea may be isolated, but it is not disconnected. It exists in the shadows of larger global powers, finding ways to survive in a world that has tried to contain it for generations. And whether the system eventually changes or not, one thing is clear: the story of North Korea is no longer just about isolation. It's about survival,